everyone, my name is Mindy Banks. I'm the Flip Flop Chef. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I want to show you how to make no knead bread using some simple basic ingredients that you probably already have in your kitchen. It is a recipe that can take some time, so I've already done the first step, but we're going to do it again, and I'll go over everything that I've already done and what comes next. So this is a recipe that you have to plan ahead for because you actually want your bread to sort of sit in a bowl for 12 to 18 hours before you can go to the second step. So I've already done the first step. I did that last night before I went to bed, and I'm going to show you how to put it all together, and then we'll just make the whole thing together. So let's go ahead and get started. If you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button so that anytime I post new content, you will be notified, and also go to theflipflopchef.com. Click the button at the top to join my recipe community. I have thousands of recipes and also a weekly giveaway every single Friday. So let's go ahead and make our bread. So no knead bread is probably one of my most favorite bread recipes. And if you're like me and you love bread with a lot of butter, you're gonna like this recipe. It's really crunchy on the outside and very, very soft on the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the first step, and then I'll take the bowl that I already have the first step completed in, and we'll make sure we move on to step 2. So I like to use Pampered Chef stainless steel mixing bowls for this bread. And typically when I make this, I will make 3 or 4 at the same time, and then I can put a few of the loaves in the freezer, and then when I want another one, I can just take it out and thaw it out. I typically don't like to freeze bread, but this bread does freeze really well, and typically I bake it in a loaf pan, but today I'm gonna bake it in our 6-quart Dutch oven, just so that it gets that really crispy outside. So you have some options on how you wanna prepare this. We're gonna take one of our stainless steel mixing bowls. I like using this because they have their own lids. And so that's what I've done with the one that's already ready. So let's go ahead and get started. You only need a few ingredients, and the first one is gonna be flour. And so I'm gonna take 3 cups of all-purpose flour, measure this out, and we're gonna add some yeast, some salt, and some water. So we've got 1 cup. And now we have 2 cups. If you think making bread is difficult, it really is not. This is actually a really long process, but it's worth it in the end. Just takes a little bit of planning. There are some rapid rise recipes that you could certainly try where you do everything over a couple of hours period of time rather than waiting overnight for that first step. So we have our 3 cups of flour in our stainless steel mixing bowl. I'm gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of rapid rise yeast. I like buying this in the jar, and I recommend that you store it in the refrigerator so that it will stay fresher longer. And this is, it says instant rise, and it says also ideal for all rapid rise recipes. So hopefully that will be helpful. You can certainly buy the little individual use packets and just measure out the 1/4 teaspoon that you need. We're gonna add 1½ teaspoons or a 1/2 tablespoon of salt. And then I'm gonna just give that just a quick mix. I like to use a wooden spoon for this. It just seems to be the easiest way to mix this because it is kind of a sticky sticky mixture after you add the water. Okay, so I've just mixed in the yeast, the salt, and the flour. I'm gonna add 1½ cups of water. This is one of our easy read measuring cups. I love these because you can just hold this under the faucet and watch the liquid rise and make sure you have the exact measurement that you need. There's no more of this measuring where you have to bend down and look through the side. So we're gonna mix this together, and it is gonna be kind of sticky. So you wanna just get all of this combined, and I'll show you what this looks like after I get it all mixed together. Now, after you mix this, you're gonna put the lid on it and let it rest just in the bowl on the counter. You don't have to refrigerate it or anything. And let it sit on the counter for 12 to 18 hours. Either is fine. I know a lot of people say that 18 hours is best, but I love that I have a window of time. I don't have to set the timer exactly for 12 hours. So it's something that you could easily plan the night before. And I'm not even sure that going over 18 hours would be a problem. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. And you're gonna put the lid on here and let it sit. So tomorrow, I'm actually gonna probably let this rise a lot longer, so we'll be able to test it out. But 12 to 18 hours. Now, here we go. Fast forward, TV time special here. I put this one together last night, and this is what it looks like. Maybe I should show you these side by side. Now these are two different size bowls, so that's gonna make a difference in what this looks like too. Whoops, let's see. So this is the one I just mixed, and this is the one that I mixed last night. So they have a different consistency. Put the lid back on this one. All right. So now that this one is ready, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a pastry mat, and I love Pampered Chef's pastry mat. It doesn't slip and slide around on the counter. You can see I can't really move it around. It's also heat proof, so if you were making something like peanut brittle and you needed to fold it over to smooth out your peanut brittle, you can use it for that. It's dishwasher safe as well. I love the little markings on here. If you're rolling out pie crust or pizza dough or anything in a circle that you need to measure out. We do need some flour, so we're gonna put that right on our pastry mat. And you do kind of need a lot because you don't want this to be any messier than it has to be. However, I'm gonna get a little bit messy. So I'm gonna actually spread this around, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting my hands nice and floured as well. And then I'm just gonna sort of grab this all the way around and just try to help release it from the edge of the bowl. And then just dump it right out on top of your flour. All right. And if you forget to flour your hands, it's gonna be a huge sticky mess. So make sure that you flour your hands again. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna sort of fold this over a few times. So you see why we needed all that flour? You don't want it to stick. So I just sort of roll it a little bit and then just fold it over a few times like this. And then you've got yourself a good ball of dough. Now, I'm gonna wash my hands. Whoops, I'm gonna need this bowl again. So let me set that out before I get water in it. Get all this dough washed off my hands. And thankfully I have enough flour on there so it's kind of washing right off. It's no fun to wash that off if you forget the flour. Now, I'm gonna get some paper towels because I wanna make sure my hands are super dry. All right, what I'm gonna do is, let's see, I'm gonna wipe out this bowl a little bit. I usually don't use parchment paper. I usually just put this back in the bowl. But I'm gonna use parchment paper today. So, here I am, I'm gonna wash my hands again. All right, I'm gonna skip, let's see, what do I wanna do? I usually just roll this, fold this up and like let it sit, but I'm gonna be doing some other videos today, so I wanna be able to move this easily. So I'm gonna take some parchment paper and I'm just gonna place it inside of my bowl, the same bowl that I mixed with, and powder my hands again so that I can pick this up. See, it's stuck to the mat already because I let it sit too long. So just pick this up and transfer it into that bowl with parchment paper. Rinse my hands again. And then that is going to sit, let me move my mess here. I love this pastry mat. Makes it really easy to sort of clean up. You can roll up your mess, and I'm just gonna toss this in the trash. I hate to waste all that flour, but it's gonna be a long time before I am able to do that next step for the next loaf. So put this in on the parchment paper, then you're gonna take your lid, put it back on, seal it nice and tight, and then this needs to sit for 2 hours. So in a couple hours, I'll come back and I'll show you guys how to fix this or finish this up. But 1.5 hours into this rise time, I need to preheat my oven and preheat my Dutch oven. So I'm gonna preheat my oven to 450 degrees 30 minutes before I'm ready to put this in the oven. And I'm gonna heat up the Dutch oven where I'm going to cook it. So I'm gonna use my Pampered Chef timer. I love this because you can actually set multiple timers. So this is a great example of when you would, whoops, hang on. When you would want to, okay, stop, clear. I'm gonna add 1 hour and 30 minutes on the first timer. Had to get that old time cleared out that was already on there. 1 hour, 30 minutes, and press go. So that timer is already counting down. Then I'm gonna press timer 2. I'm gonna set it for 2 hours and press go. So I've already got 2 timers. The first one that's gonna go off and tell me, hey Mindy, heat up your oven, put your Dutch oven in it so that the Dutch oven will be nice and hot when we put the bread in 30 minutes from then. So y'all hang tight, I will keep you posted, and I'll show you how to finish this up. So see you soon. All right, you guys, I'm back, and my first timer has gone off, so I just turned my oven on to 450 degrees. I'm gonna be using Pampered Chef's enameled 6-quart Dutch oven for our bread, and so we want this Dutch oven to be nice and hot when we put the bread in. So I'm gonna put this in the oven without the lid, but I had to show you the lid because it's just amazing. So this is a self-basting lid. So if you're not familiar with this product already, whenever you're cooking in here, whether it's on the stovetop or in the oven, anything that, any steam and juices that hit the top of this lid, these nodules kind of knock it back down on top of your food. And so it's a self-basting lid. You don't have to stop what you're doing to baste the food that's in your pan. It's just such a cool concept. And so we're going to heat this without the lid. And then once it's preheated, I'm gonna add the bread. So stay tuned. I'm gonna put this in the oven. I'll be back in a few. All right, you guys, I'm back, and I just took this pot out of the oven. So it's super hot because I preheated the oven to 450 degrees. I do want to let you know, if you don't want to use the parchment paper, you can actually just leave the parchment paper in there and transfer it over easier. That's what I'm going to do today. But if you wanted to, you can always pour oil into the bottom and the sides of the pan and brush it around if you wanted to do that directly in the pan. This will actually make cleanup a little bit easier. So I'm just going to take out my dough and set it into the pan. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this back in the oven, and let me use my cheat sheet to make sure I tell you this correctly. So I'm gonna bake this for 30 minutes with the lid off, and then I'm gonna add the lid for about 8 to 10 more minutes, and then it's gonna be done. So hang tight and I will show you the results. See you in a bit. All right, you guys, I'm back and our bread is done. I want to let you know that I told you the complete opposite thing in my previous video. We should have started with the lid on for the first 30 minutes and then take the lid off for the last 8 to 10 minutes. So I did realize that before it was too late, so I added the lid and baked it for about a half an hour and then took the lid off for the remainder of the time. So let's get this out of our Dutch oven. I'm gonna just see if I can, maybe I could just use my hands, but let's see. This is super hot. I can like feel the heat coming off of it, and I don't want to rub my hand up against it or my arm. So let's see. There we go. Look at this beautiful, beautiful no knead bread. And let me grab a bread knife. I'll show you guys. I'll slice into this and show you how beautiful it is. I'm going to use these because it's still a little bit hot. So it's super crunchy on the outside, but it is so soft on the inside. Oh, you see all that steam? I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But you're going to get this beautiful, super soft bread on the inside. So you just need some butter and enjoy a slice as it is. Eat it for breakfast. You can toast it in the air fryer. You can serve it with your dinner. You can slice it and make a sandwich. And our deluxe grill and griddle, make yourself a panini or just make yourself a cold sandwich. So there are so many options, so many ways that you can use the no knead bread. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know you'll try this recipe. It is delicious. And I'll post the recipe in my recipe community at theflipflopchef.com. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And that's all I have for you today, but I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.